It's waxing lyrical, baby.
Hello, Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical with Mainz and Dutts. I'm your flu-ridden host, Mainz, and my colleague in the danger zone in Rainford. It's Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
Very, very well, sir. You sound absolutely god-awful.
Yeah.
So we'll drag this one out, and we'll make it last 6 or 7 hours just to really get the most out of you.
That would be beneficial. Flu jab this week. Live vaccine's gone well, obviously. Thanks.
Of course.
Thanks. But, you know, at least I didn't have to pay for it, which I may have to do in 6 months. Neil, less of that. It's Turkey Day tomorrow in the States. As always, when it's around Thanksgiving, we're going to pay no attention to those games. From a fancy point of view, as you know, you got to give people a chance to listen to it, not half an hour. So all our fantasy games that we'll discuss will be the Sunday and Monday games, and plugged into the mains will have that similar feel as well. So let's start with plugged into the mains. Neil, this week on Saturday in the UK, the Copa Libertadores was on BBC, and the hipsters were loving it, as a lot of non-hipster people would say. This week, the hipsters will love the hipster Super Bowl, which is Ravens at 49ers, which unbelievably is still 1 o'clock in America, 6 p.m. UK time. At the moment, given the two results the teams had last week, 49ers crushing the Packers and Ravens destroying the Rams, probably the two informed teams in the league. Got any thoughts related to this game, Neil?
Well, as we're talking of hipster Super Bowl. This was a Super Bowl, not so long ago.
With no lights.
With no lights, yeah. And the Kaepernick game, because obviously Kaepernick's not a good quarterback because he got his team to a Super Bowl. But I digress. It's very hard to watch the Ravens and not be impressed by what they're doing. They have designed an offense around the skills of their quarterback, which, as I said last week, is a ridiculously novel concept. And it's fun to watch. Lamar Jackson is, he's not being asked to make difficult throws, but the offense is putting him in a situation where he doesn't have to make difficult throws. So he's taking what's being given to him and he's delivering on it. Their defense has got so much better now. Since they've had Marcus Peters, they're averaging about 12 points allowed per game. They are a very, very dangerous team because, and even players who've played against them have gone out saying, we don't know how you stop Lamar Jackson.
Well, Neil, is the Ravens' last 24 drives with Lamar Jackson as quarterback. Touchdown, touchdown, kneel down. Touchdown, 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 kneel down. Touchdown, touchdown, missed field goal, downs. Touchdown, touchdown, kneel down. Touchdown, field goal, touchdown, 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 touchdown.
I believe that Sam Cook, or Cook, however you pronounce his name, hasn't punted after a Lamar Jackson drive since week 8.
That's special. I don't know about you, Neil, but I wasn't expecting the beatdown that the San Francisco 49ers gave the Green Bay Packers. So I was expecting a tough few weeks, and it may still continue for the next couple of weeks for the 49ers, but it's a fantastic start battering the Packers.
Absolutely. The 49ers defense is packed with full-grown men. Obviously, Nick Bosa's a beast. DeForest Buckner's a beast. Fred Warner is making plays. Richard Sherman may not be Richard Sherman of old, but he's still shutting down half the field. They don't blitz, but they still lead the league in sacks. And their defense has just been, coming into the season, people thought might be an issue, and that Shanahan was going to have to scheme around it. And what has happened is that Shanahan, more often than not, has had to scheme around his quarterback. So they're dangerous. The Packers, I think the Packers are like the Bills. I think they're a bit of a paper tiger.
Yeah.
And as evidenced by the fact that the Eagles have beaten both of them, and the Eagles are trash. So take from that what you will. But it's as Matt Harmon tweeted out, 2019, the year that nobody played anybody. because people are still like, oh, the 49ers haven't played anyone, or the Ravens haven't played anyone. Odd that, because we're in week 12, so they must have played somebody.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think you'd be hard-pressed to say that this isn't a match-up between the two best teams in the NFL at the moment, because I don't see any other teams with as few glaring weaknesses as these two teams seem to have, and that's even accounting for the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo has not been the driving force that everyone thought he would be.
Yeah, have you got a pick for this game, Neil?
I'm taking the Ravens just because they're at home. It's a horrible journey. We saw obviously last week the Seahawks were not at their best, but were able to beat a dysfunctional Eagles team. I think the journey is not going to help. I don't think it's going to be what the Ravens have been doing. I don't think they're going to be laying 40 points on them. But I just think that if it comes down to a slightly more defensive struggle, I will back the quarterback who has the bigger play potential, and that's the MVP.
Yeah, I think it'd be close. As you said, I can't see it being 30-point bashing, but then again, I thought Green Bay were going to beat San Francisco, so I'm not sure I'm in a position to do picks at the moment. I think it'd be a good game. Masterminds and whatever, it's good stuff. So I look forward to the game. I really do. Hoping it's going to be a good one. I'm sure it will be. And may even take me off or get me a red zone in a second screen kind of situation, I have to say. But there we go. Neil, let's move on. Second, plugged into the Mainz, is the 2020 QB free agency market, which is interesting. Now, most QBs, when they get to free agency, usually means they're not very good. And to be fair, the players here are also not very good at times, but have also shown situations where they can be good. The most fun quarterback of the list, fun in air quotes, i.e. as long as you're not Charles Dagnall, is Jameis Winston, as he can, he giveth and taketh away. But I was just looking there at the receiving leaders in the NFL, and at present, the receiving leaders, top 5, are all from the NFC South, and 2 of them are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Rod God, as Neil pointed out to me this week, yeah, that's right, Chris Godwin's first name is actually Rod. We also have Ryan Tannehill, who's setting the AFC South on fire at the moment. Marcus Mariota, who's watching him do that from the sideline, saying, "Why did I never do this?" Case Keenum, who's taking knees while the starting quarterback's taking selfies. We'll just leave that one. Teddy Bridgewater, who was great until he wasn't allowed to play anymore because he backs up Drew Brees. And Kyle Allen, who I think is like Jameis Winston light. He's got that similar giveaway of the ball, but also, can throw it a little bit. What do you think, Neil? Can you rank them? Who would you go with if you were a team looking for a quarterback? You're a team looking for a backup one at the moment, I assume.
Yeah, unless the Eagles decide to turn the offense over to Josh McCown and have done with it.
Well,
with these free agents as well, you have to say that there's a good chance that Andy Dalton's going to be on that list. Eli Manning's going to be on that list. Joe Flacco's probably going to be on that list as well. So obviously these are just pending free agents. I don't think Ryan Tannehill gets out of Tennessee. Now, I'm not saying he's the answer, but I'm saying he's done enough that they may try and get him to take some kind of team-friendly deal, and with the view of, I don't think they're going to be high enough to draft anyone. So again, it might just be a question of, a bridge to something else. I don't know, because obviously they're not going to keep Mariota. That's been made abundantly clear. Tannehill's not been terrible. I do wish he'd exercise a bit more caution when he's running, because as I tweeted out, in an era where quarterbacks are protected more than ever before, Ryan Tannehill runs with the reckless abandon of mankind Mick Foley.
Yeah, but he also, not only does he do that, he runs at like 2 miles an hour, which is an interesting thought concept. Like.
Yeah, he's athletic but slow. Kyle Allen is like James Winston. He's saying that sense that I never think he's going to have a 1 interception game. He's going to throw 2 or 3. And I just think that he's not a player you can... I don't think he's shown enough for any team to say he's our guy. James Winston is if you value consistency at the quarterback spot to help you run your franchise, I don't see how you can take Jameis Winston, because he's not going to give you the boring consistency. He's not going to flatline. Now, Trez Paler on the Yahoo NFL podcast has said, in 5 years' time, there will be a team knocking on the Super Bowl door with Jameis Winston at quarterback, because it's basically, I think an awful lot of people are comparing Jameis Winston to Vinny Testaverde, in that he was drafted first overall by the Bucs. The Bucs never saw the best of him, and it took him a while to develop into an NFL caliber starting franchise quarterback, as it were. And they think that's what the situation is with Jameis. We're not going to see the best of Jameis Winston as a Buccaneer. It may well be with another team. But the problem is for that is Testaverde had to go somewhere else and be a backup before he got his chance again. The age we're in now, what are you offering to Jameis Winston to come and be your backup that he's going to take, that some team won't top and let him start because he's a former first-round pick? So
well, let's be honest, Neil. You mentioned the Tannehill. If we look at Tannehill as an example, you said he'll take a team-friendly deal. Like, why would he? Like, they were rubbish, and now they're decent, and he's been the quarterback. He'll get more guaranteed money next year than Cam Newton will, which is $20 million.
But
so you give him 2 years, 35. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it's one of those. I don't think he would want to take a team deal. I think it's just a question of if they're smart and the Titans do want him. I'm not saying he's going to be the starter for the next 10 years, but if they want him for the short term, they may do the Ravens thing of go away, find out what the market is, come back, give us a chance to match.
Yeah, true.
If he's sensible, that's what he'll do. But if his agent finds out that someone's going to offer him, this, is going to go, he can go away and take that, then he's going to go away and take that.
Yeah, I look and think the one that interests me that we mentioned is Jameis, because there'll be a offensive-minded head coach who'll be like, I can get rid of those bad decisions. I can rein him in. Like, let's play a game. They're not going to do this because they've given too much money to their quarterback. But do you not think that Sean McVay thinks, I could do something more with Jameis Winston than Jared Goff, who doesn't seem capable of throwing. Weirdly, this season doesn't feel capable of throwing it anymore.
Jared Goff hasn't thrown a touchdown in America since week 7.
I know. Well, I know it's a struggle. He joins the likes of the Washington Redskins quarterbacks and Philadelphia Eagles quarterbacks in that world, which shows that for all the good of the likes of the San Francisco 49ers offense and Lamar Jackson, there's a lot of bad offense at the moment.
Yeah, you say that, but the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback has the longest streak with a touchdown pass in. So anyway, one thing I will say, you say there's going to be a head coach who'll think, let me at him, I can repair him. How about not a head coach who thinks that, but a general manager who has consistently swung and missed at quarterbacks?
Oh my God, the Denver Broncos.
Do you not think Elway may see a little bit of himself in Jameis Winston?
Yeah, maybe, Neil, maybe. Final one.
I'll go on a limb later, later in the off season or whatnot. But I'm going to call that now. Jameis Winston, Denver Bronco.
It's a logic. I mean, I can't see Tampa sticking with him personally, but yes, so that makes sense. Final one, Neil. I was listening to the Ringer NFL show. I'd recommend it for everyone. And they brought up an interesting question based on Sunday night. It was Sunday night our time, I guess Sunday mid-afternoon, evening their time. And they wondered how many coaches would get 10 to 13 wins with the Dallas Cowboys roster. So I thought we could go down a list of go down the list and think, what head coaches do you think could get a lot more victories with the Dallas Cowboys offense in comparison to what Jason Garrett's doing?
Okay. So
if we start in the NFC East, I assume you think Doug Peterson will win more games, and that will be the list.
Yep.
NFC South. Peyton,
yeah.
Ron Rivera.
Yes, because Ron does go with his gut and does trust analytics to an extent.
Tampa. Will Bruce get it?
Yeah.
And
Dan
Atlanta,
Quinn, no.
Dan Quinn wouldn't. Okay.
No.
North.
Dan Quinn would have a bloody cleaning lady coordinating the offense.
The North. Vikings.
No.
Bears.
Zimmer would make the exact same mistakes.
Bears.
No.
Packers.
Don't know.
Lions.
No.
West would be Pistol Pete.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan.
God, yeah.
God, yeah. Cliff Kingsbury.
I think, yeah.
And what team am I missing?
The Rams.
The Rams. Sean McVay.
Yeah.
And Bill Belichick. He goes to 17. Yeah. Do you think a team he just won with is slightly less talented than the team he beat? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could be here all night. Gase, I'm going to say no.
No.
Brian Flores. Too soon
know.
to tell, right?
Too soon to tell for that one.
Sean McDermott.
Yeah.
AFC West. John Gruden.
Yes.
Boy, that'd be fun. Andy Reid.
Yes.
Anthony Lynn. No. Don't think so. And Vic Fangio. No. AFC South. Vrabel. Bob. Reich would, I guess.
Would.
Marone wouldn't.
No.
And then North. Tomlin.
This is the problem. We've seen Tomlin have successful teams and then they poo themselves. So yes, but
Kitchens. No. Zach Taylor. No. John Harbaugh. Undefeated.
God,
yeah. What we're saying is, for those who aren't paying attention, Dallas Cowboys head coach, ungood. If you didn't know that, you haven't been paying attention.
It does seem that the drumbeat that is emerging is that it's going to take something special to save Garrett. And I don't mean winning the NFC East. That's not going to save him now. I think Jerry is now starting to doubt himself and start getting fed up of being a fan. But being a fan general manager, he's now actually thinking like a general manager. And when you start doing that, you start realising this roster I've put together is better than 6-5 and 0 wins against a winning team.
Yeah, and you're coming up against a Buffalo Bills team, and you're like, Philly battered these, but the way we're playing, we're sloppy, and they don't allow sloppy, if you know what I mean. So it'd be interesting to find out. We shall see. Neil, let's move on to fantasy. As we mentioned, not going to talk about the Thursday games, but for Sunday and Monday, people are interested who you think the fancy darling of the week is.
Hello, darling.
We're getting to a stage of the season where you don't want to be getting cute with your decisions, with your lineups, and that's especially true, obviously, in the cesspit that is tight end. So let's not get cute. Let's not overthink this. Ryan Griffin is a great start this week. The Jets are playing the Bengals since week 6. Ryan Griffin is the tight end 5. He's had 4 tight end 1 performances over that time. Even last week, he only caught 3 passes, but one of them went for a touchdown. So the Bengals, who are they trying to win now? I don't understand what they're doing. The Bengals have allowed 4 touchdowns to tight ends this season, with 3 coming in the last 3 games. The Jets, for some reason, are now clicking on offense, although they can only score 34. That's their
number, right?
That's their number. If you look as well at Sam Darnold's receivers this year, his adjusted yards per attempt per receiver. So this is your yards plus touchdown minus interceptions. It's a formula that Rotoviz have. So if you look at the wide receivers Sam Darnold has this season, Robbie Anderson, 44 targets, 5.95 yards AYA. Demarius Thomas, 39 targets, 6.31. Le'Veon Bell, 39, 6.51. Jamison Crowder, 62, 6.94. Ryan Griffin, 30, 12.5. So
that's good, right?
he just, yeah, that is very good. I say he doesn't get force-fed targets, but when he gets them, he makes the most of them. So he's ridiculously efficient. And I say the Bengals can be had at pretty much any level of the defense. And it just says there that the most efficient receiver Darnold has got has been Griffin. The ground game is not working for the Jets, which you'd think, well, just run on the Bengals. The Jets can't run on anyone. So Le'Veon Bell has not panned out. So I like Griffin. And as we see with the tight end landscape, all he has to do is catch one for a touchdown, and he's pretty much done.
That makes him tight end one. Cool. Neil, who is the opposite of a darling? That would be a fancy loser.
T.Y. Hilton was a damp squib for the Colts against the Texans last week, and the Texans basically T.Y. Hilton could roast in his sleep. He said his calf tightened up again. He had no explosion, in his own words. He's been limited in practice so far this week, and they say now they're playing the Tennessee Titans. He's not been terrific against the Titans in his career. He's averaged 12.36 PPR points in 15 games against them. That's against a career average of 14.8 against everyone else. He only averages 4 receptions for 62 yards against them per game. So if he's not fully healthy, I just don't think you can trust him this week as any more than a desperation option at your last wide receiver spot.
Concerning. But anyway, we'll get on to that. Let's get on to it now. Let's look at our DFS teams of the week.
Mainz and Dutts, Daily Fantasy Team of the Week.
Show me the money.
Neil, who's your quarterback this week?
My quarterback this week, I mean, I would like to have had Russell Wilson, but obviously I just think, there's something about Russell Wilson. I think he's going to want to have his MVP moment, but probably because he's now off the main slate and he's on Monday night, we don't really want to see him getting, battered by purple helmets. I've gone with Derek Carr instead. I've had him before as well, actually. He's 5,500. The Raiders are playing the Chiefs. Now, on paper, that's not a great matchup, but it should be a shootout. Derek Carr, I'd say, has not been terrible of late. Since week 7, he has had 4 games with at least 20 fancy points. Twice in his last 3 games, though, he's had 15. He's had 15 or less. He had 15.3 against the Chargers. He had 22.7 against the Bengals, but then only 5.5 against the Jets. They stunk the joint out. He was a problem, but most of the people were. So I just think, basically, as I think we can all guess who my running back one is, I had to make some economies this week. So Derek Carr, I felt, because of the game flow, I felt was a good option.
My quarterback is Sam Darnold. He's playing the Cincinnati Bengals. He's 6,100. Last 3 weeks, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. And I'm happy that if his team scores 34 points, it makes no difference to me. 6,100. I think Sam Darnold's good.
He went out and got wasted and hooked up with a girl after the game. Can you trust this man? Trash journalism.
Guess what? I don't care, and thank goodness they didn't have trash journalism when Joe Namath was quarterback of the New York Jets, if you know what I'm saying.
I know.
But, it was probably different then. The world was different, so it was probably allowed.
Yeah.
Okay, running back one, Neil.
DraftKings have obviously decided that Christian McCaffrey is going to be 10,500 because I can see no reason why his price has not gone up. So that's where I'm going with again. 10,500. Christian McCaffrey is playing Washington, who stink. Christian McCaffrey he's on pace for the greatest fantasy season of all time in a team that's going to do absolutely nothing. He's shown he doesn't need to score touchdowns. He's going to get all the volume. He's going to get all the passing work. He's just an absolute gem. And if you're not going to outprice him, I'm going to keep taking him. So 10,500 auto pick for the rest of the season.
Last 5 weeks are 40.6. last 4 weeks, sorry, 40.6, 29.1, 33.1, and 34.3. And my running back one is Christian McCaffrey. He's playing Washington. They stink. I don't know if you know. I do. I have to watch them. If he gets 34, that's basically double what most running backs are getting every week. So why would you not do that? It almost allows you to have one bad player. So there you go. Who's your running back 2, Neil?
Running back 2 is Miles Sanders of the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are playing the Miami Dolphins. Sanders is 5,400. Jordan Howard looks like he's probably not going to play again. So we saw last week that Jay Ajayi would have a significant role. And as I tweeted out, yes, he's going to be Doug Peterson's get-back coach, as pretty much he didn't do anything. Sanders has double-digit rushing attempts in each of his last 3 games. He averaged 5.2 yards per attempt against Seattle. It was working, but then he did have a fumble on a 2-point conversion, so that went against him. He was the running back 19 last week. As I say, he had 12 rush attempts and 5 targets. So he had 63 rushing yards and he had 23 receiving yards. Excuse me. He's averaged 4.2 yards per carry or better in 3 of his last 4 games, and he's averaged 7.7 yards per reception or better in 3 of his last 4. The Dolphins stink. Their defensive front is not very good. This could be the Sanders game people have been waiting for.
My running back 2 is Miles Sanders. Pretty much for the same reasons Neil said, but without all the cool stats. Who's your wide receiver 1, Neil?
Wide receiver 1, 6,800 is DJ Moore. Carolina are playing Washington, who stink. DJ Moore is an absolute gem. He's having a breakout second season up there with DJ Chark and what's the boy's name? Cortland Sutton. And I just think, that it's unfortunate that this is the year that Cam Newton's been injured, because I think him and DJ Moore could have made sweet, sweet music together. Washington...
In terms of
terrible.
Receiving yards, Neil, he's 5th. He's the 5th one in that list.
Yeah. He'd have had a much... People would be talking about him a lot more if he found the end zone a bit more regularly.
True. My wide receiver 1 is Neil's fancy loser, T.Y. Hilton. 10 days since his last game. Didn't have explosion. Expect him to be better. Doesn't play as well against Tennessee as he does against Houston, who he has owned for most years. But I'm expecting a bounce back game, unlike Neil, obviously. And he is 6,200. Neil, who is your wide receiver 2?
Wide receiver 2 is Devontae Parker. He's 5,700. The Dolphins are playing the Eagles. Parker has established something of a steady floor, and we do know that Ryan Fitzpatrick is just going to, YOLO ball it. Let's be honest, this Eagles secondary, it's still burnable, although they have played well the last few games. I just think as well, if we go down the logical step that it's going to be a Miles Sanders game, maybe the Dolphins are going to be in catch-up. I'm going to have to play, I'm going to have to play from behind. That should mean 10 targets or so for Devontae Parker. 5,700, I think you could do a lot worse.
Absolutely, Neil. 5,500 for mine. He is Tyler Boyd. He has it's been okay the last few weeks, but this week actually has a quarterback back, and that man is Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, back under centre. Tyler Boyd, 5,500, playing the Jets, who aren't great, let's be honest. So yeah, Tyler Boyd, think he's got a chance. Wide receiver 3, Neil.
Wide receiver 3 is Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver Greg Ward. He's 4,100. He's been on the practice squad all season. He's been a pre-season darling for the last 2 years. Finally got given a chance last week. He had 7 targets. He caught 6 of them for 40 yards, which is 6 more receptions than Mac Hollins has had since September. And Hollins has played nearly 80% of the snaps. I just think, as I say, Dolphins... To say that the Dolphins are plugging in people from the street into their secondary would be an insult to street walkers everywhere. Alshon Jeffrey is likely to be back, but he was likely to be back on Sunday. I don't know about Nelson Aguilar. Dallas Goedert has had a few issues with not exactly busting off big plays. Zach Ertz is the only thing you can really set your watch to. But it was nice to see that Carson Wentz did have some degree of chemistry with Greg Ward last week. So again, for 4,100, I don't think it's a terrible option.
I've also gone for Greg Ward, Neil. As you said, he seemed to be the only person on the Philadelphia Eagles not named Zach Ertz who can catch, which is, a beneficial thing to have.
It can help.
It can help if you have people who can catch the ball if you're then going to throw it. So yeah, I've gone for Greg Ward also. And I look forward to him doing nothing and me getting really annoyed, but not as annoyed as you do.
This team is beyond annoying me now.
Yeah, I don't think we could do an hour on him. We're not going to. Who's your tight end, Neil?
Tight end's Ryan Griffin, 4,300.
My tight end is Rudolph, the red zone tight end, Mr. Carl Rudolph. Good to have him back. Should be a tight game between Minnesota and Seattle, and Kirk Cousins does look tight end in tight situations, especially goal to go, and so that is always good, as we've mentioned before. So I've gone with him. Who's your flex, Neil?
I will just say that the Seahawks have given up a lot of receptions to tight ends. Tight ends and purple helmet for some reason just came into my head and it really shouldn't have. They can be hard. Adam Thielen is likely to return, but he's still not fully right. We've seen that Kyle Rudolph has had something of a flaw in recent weeks. I think he's had 5 or more targets in his last 5 games. Took him a while to get going this season, but he's a threat in the red zone, as you say, Rudolph, the red zone reindeer. So he's also, like Ryan Griffin, is not a terrible streaming option this week. My flex, however, is Ronald Jones of the Buccaneers against the Jaguars. He's 5,100. The Jags stink, and their defense is terrible and can be run on. So it would be nice to see Ronald Jones actually be told this is going to be your day. Obviously, from a personal and selfish point of view, having Chris Godwin and Mike Evans in multiple leagues, I would prefer if Ronald Jones stunk out the joint and they had to take to the air. But for what I'm paying for him here, he only has to, 15 carries, get him 100 yards, a couple of touchdowns. That'll be fine. I would take that.
Yeah, my flex is Sammy Watkins, Oakland at Kansas City. I know you pull that face, but they got to score offense, and they're going to score offense against this Oakland team. Hill's back, is he fit? Don't know. So Watkins will get play, 5,400.
I applaud the process play. I just want that since Sammy Watkins melted all our faces in week 1, he's done diddly poo, and I think I've plugged him in various times this season. I've touted him, and he hasn't done anything. He is a bluff, but at his price,
I think you've got to give it a chance. I just think you've got to give it a chance, and they're playing Oakland, who, well, there's egg laying, and then there's what they did in New York last week.
Yeah, the Chiefs are one of the most pass-happy teams in the NFL in neutral game situations because they haven't really got the ground game going all year. So, yeah, I suppose so.
Who's your defense and special teams, Neil?
Cleveland Browns, 2,600. They're not going to get a rematch against Mason Rudolph, who is America's long national nightmare is over. We don't need to see Mason Rudolph again. And I don't just mean this season. I mean, we don't need to see him again. So they've gone with Duck Hodges, who, as I say, I remain unconvinced that he's not actually Chris Wokes. He does look an awful lot like him. The Browns, obviously there's no Myles Garrett. They do have the reigning AFC Defensive Player of the Week, who's Joe Schobert, who's the first linebacker since Cato June in 2005 to have back-to-back games with 2 interceptions. So he's emerged as a playmaker. And as we said, the Steelers' defense is carrying this team because their offense is abysmal.
I also have the Cleveland Browns. Duck or Mason, Pittsburgh Steelers' offense is not great. I know you thought, we're going to have to, NFL team thinks we'll be all right when we get rid of these skill players because, we've got, a process around it. Nah.
Mate.
Talent's dead good. Breaking news. Neil, let's recap. Who's your quarterback?
Derek Carr.
I've got Sam Darnold, running back 1.
Running back 1 is Christian McCaffrey.
Same.
And that's just for the rest of the season.
Running back 2.
Miles Sanders.
I also have Miles Sanders. Who's your running back 3? Your wide receiver 1, running back 3.
DJ Moore.
Wide receiver, mine's T.Y. Hilton. Wide receiver 2.
Devontae Parker.
I have Tyler Boyd, who is your wide receiver 3.
Greg Ward.
I also have Greg Ward. Tight end.
Ryan Griffin.
I've got Carl Rudolph. Flex.
Ronald Jones.
I've got Sammy Watkins, and your defense and special teams.
Cleveland Browns.
I also have the Cleveland Browns. Neil, where can everyone catch you this week?
This week, if you go to number 5, you'll see my 5 stats to know from last week, including some good ones about Ryan Tannehill. Also, there's my wide receiver report on RotoViz, looking at the wide receivers who had double-digit targets last week. There's a interesting nugget in there about Terry McLaurin, who started off hot but has cooled significantly. And also, there's my tight end streamers, also for RotoViz, where I say we've already touched on one of them and briefly mentioned another one, so the third one might be a surprise. And I wasn't on with Nat and the boys on Sunday. Hopefully, I will be back this week. Until then, follow me on the Twitter at ndutton13.
I am at Mainz7. Combined with at waxing_lyrical. You will catch me later in the week on the touchdown.co.uk with the touchdown 3, hoping for a better week than last week, which wasn't good. Washington won. I mean, who's going to ever pick that? There we go. That's it. I've managed to survive without dying of a coughing fit, which can only be good. And due to that, these top guys are out.